Hi, I'm Mr. C, the teacher, and this is my classroom. Over the years, I've created hundreds of lessons in every subject area. That's tons of topics to teach. So grab your tools for school and join in with us. Or sit back and just watch. And let's go on a learning journey together. Because you're watching Lessons from the Classroom. Well, let's take a look at what the topic for today's episode is going to be about. In today's math lesson, we're going to talk about some shapes that we call pentominoes. We'll take a closer look at exactly what those are. With pentominoes, though, we're going to show how we can fit shapes together and also how to teach you about slides, turns, and flips using these shapes.
All right, everyone, let's call out our names. I will start us off with the roll call. I am W. L here, letter L.
Okay, I know I don't look like it, but I'm letter F. I'm letter F. F here.
Okay, and I am U. I'm not you, but I'm shaped like letter U. My name is U. I'm not you, I'm me, but I'm you.
I'm N.
Okay, don't laugh at my name. I'm P. All right, I'm P. I'm letter P.
Yeah, man, I'm like righteous X, man. X.
Y. Y. I am I. Yes, I.
Oh yeah, I'm letter T, man. Call me T. Haha, T. Well, my friends call me Z. Z if I'm in the United States, but Z here in Canada, man. Z. Well, I may be last, but I am not the least. I am V. Letter V, man, V.
Worksheet lessons. This is an introduction to pentominoes. These are pentominoes, of which there are 12 different ones. A pentomino does have a name for each individual shape, and they're usually named after the letters. If you look carefully, for example, at this pentomino, you can actually see the squares marked out on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each pentomino is made of no more and no less than 5 squares. In fact, all 12 pentominoes can actually be fit together. Pentominoes. Cool. You know, I love being surrounded by great books, because one of my favorite things to do is to read stories. So, let's make some time right now and read a storybook. This is story time. You know, whenever I look at all our pentominoes put together, all 12 of them fit, and it sort of looks somewhat like a quilt, doesn't it? We made a quilt today. Written by Sue Evans and read by Mr. C, the teacher. We made a paper quilt at school today. Miss Clark helped us. A quilt is made of many squares. Some of the squares have patterns inside them. Miss Clark told us how to start. She said, first, we will find out how many big squares we need for the middle part of the quilt. There are 5 rows and each row has 3 squares. We used a chart to find out how many squares we needed. Then Miss Clark showed us how to make a square called a pinwheel. We need 4 blue triangles and 4 white triangles for each one, she said. Then Miss Clark said, there are 8 pinwheels in the middle part of the quilt. How many white and blue triangles will we need? We made another chart to find out. And here the chart says, how many triangles do we need? Triangles, pinwheels, blue, and white. So in the end, if they have 8 pinwheels, they're going to need 32 blue triangles and 32 white triangles. Then Miss Clark showed us how to make a square called a 9 patch. Our 9 patch has 5 small yellow squares and 4 small white squares, she said. There are 4 9-patch squares in the quilt, said Miss Clark, 1 in each corner. How many small yellow and white squares will we need? We made one more chart to find out. And the chart says, how many small squares do we need? For the 9 patches, there's going to be 4. And you'll need 5 yellow and 4 white for each square. So for 4 of the 9 patches, you're going to need 20 yellow squares and 16 white squares. After that, we glued the 8 pinwheels and the 4 9 patches and 7 big yellow squares onto the quilt paper. They all went together to make one big pattern. We made a beautiful quilt. Look at all the patterns. Isn't it? Just like the quilt in the story, I wonder how many squares this Pentomino quilt is made out of. Now think about it. We've got 5 squares in each Pentomino piece, and there's 12 Pentomino pieces. So we have to count 5 12 times. Let's see if we can do that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So I counted by 5 12 times. That makes 60 squares to create this quilt made of Pentominoes. Cool.
Okay, men, we've taken a look at the letter F. Let's get ourselves into shape and make the letter F. All right, ready? Form up, hut, hut. Sarge, I don't think this is right. I don't think we look like the letter F right now. It just doesn't feel right. It's close enough, men. Close enough. Close enough.
More worksheet lessons.
So on this Pentomino worksheet called Cover Some Shapes, they want us to use the L, the F, and the P. And they say slide, turn, or flip the pieces to cover each shape. Then trace around each piece. Well, here's the F, and I need to do a little bit of a turn. So rather than it being like that, it has to be turned. And I can trace around that piece. . This one here is the P. I can just slide it into place. Slide. There we go. And my last one, the L. Again, I need to turn it. So I give that L a turn to fit in. And I've traced around it. Slide, turn, or flip. Let's take a closer look at this poster that shows us slides. So when we take an object and we just simply slide it, flips, when we take an object and we flip it over, and turns, when we take an object and we turn it.
Did he say turn it or turnip?
We'll use our Pentominoes on some of the worksheets to show you how to do that. Let's take a closer look at Pentominoes.
More worksheet lessons.
This Pentomino worksheet is called Sliding Patterns. It says you can slide the W piece to make a design without gaps. Put your Pentomino piece on the design, trace, and slide, and color your design. So here we have our first piece, and I'm going to slide, trace, and color. Then I'm going to take my Pentomino piece and I'm going to slide it again, trace, and color this one. And then I'm going to take my Pentomino piece one more time, slide, trace, and color. And that's sliding the Pentomino piece. So here's our next Pentomino worksheet. It's called Slides. And it says, slide each Pentomino piece, trace around it. And we'll add some color as well. So first piece is the X. Put the X into that spot and it says slide. So we'll slide and then trace around it. I like to hold the piece in the center and take my pencil, or in this case my felt marker, and trace around while I'm holding it down. There we go. And we'll add some color to that one. Here's our next one. It's the letter P Pentomino. So I'll put it into its spot. And then it says slide, so we slide. And I'll hold it down in the middle and trace around. being very careful not to let the piece slide around. There we go. We'll add some color. And there we go. That's slides. Okay, here we have a Pentomino work page to do. It's called Turning Patterns. It says you can slide the L shape to make a design without gaps. Put your Pentomino piece on the design, trace and turn. Color your design. So here's our first one right here, L going right there. Let's color that one in. So now we're going to turn to put it in there. We can trace. And we can color that one in. And then again we can turn, trace, and color that one in. And we can turn and trace. And color that pattern in. And there we go, using the L-shaped Pentomino.
More worksheet lessons.
Okay, here we have a Pentomino worksheet called Turns. And it says, turn each Pentomino piece and trace around it. So here we have the letter F Pentomino piece, which goes in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it and move it over here, and we're going to give it a turn. That's a turn. And we'll hold it down in one spot in the middle and trace around. And there we go, and you can see the difference in the shape because we did a turn. A turn. Let's add some color to that one. Okay, here's our letter T shape. Letter T. So again, we're going to take it and we're going to give it a turn. Turn. And we'll trace around it. And let's add some color. There we go. There's our T that's been turned. Pentomino turns. So here we have our Pentomino worksheet called flips. And it says, find each pentomino piece, flip it, and trace around it. Here we've got our pentomino piece that's letter Z. What we're going to do is we're going to take the piece and we're going to lift it up and flip it over. Hold it down in the middle and we'll trace around it. There we go, there's our flip. You can see once again, I took the piece and I flipped it over. Let's add some color to that one. Okay, let's look at our next piece. It's the letter P pentomino piece. So I put my letter P in that spot. And again, I'm going to pick it up by one edge and I'm going to flip it over. That's a flip. Hold it down in the middle and trace around it. And there's our flipped piece. Let's add some color to that. Pentomino flips.
More worksheet lessons.
Okay, we have our next Pentomino worksheet. It's called Slide or Turn. And it says, use your Pentomino pieces. Is it a slide or a turn? Circle your answer. So circle one, slide or turn. Let's take a look. So we got our Z piece. And here's what our Z piece looks like. Well, you can see what I just did. That was a slide. So I'm going to circle slide. Here's the next one. It's our W piece. To get the W to look like that, I've got to turn the W. One more time. Here's the W. I have to turn it. So I'm going to circle turn. And here's our Y piece. And to get it to look like that, I have to turn it. One more time. Turn. So I'm going to circle turn.
More worksheet lessons.
On this Pentomino worksheet called Making Rectangles, it says use 3 Pentomino pieces to make this rectangle. It's a little bit challenging, so I'm going to give you the 3 letters that will work. Find as many ways as you can to make the rectangle and record each way you find. So maybe your friends can try and help you out by coming up with their own ways, but the 3 letters that work here are letter T, which we need to flip, letter L, which we also need to flip, and letter Y, which we need to turn. And there, they make the rectangle. If we trace around these pieces, there we have our 3 pieces, and we can color them in. The T, the L, and the Y. See if you can make those three pieces, T, Y, and L, fit in. T, Y, and L.
More worksheet lessons.
So now using this sheet, we're going to find our letters and we're going to fit them in the spots. And they tell us here, so this is the V. Here's our Z, which has to go as turned angled. How about our letter T? Here's the letter Y. And our letter P. Here's the letter U. Our X. Letter L, upside down. Our letter W. Letter F is going to go in here. Oops, flip it over. Our letter L. And last but not least, letter N. And there we go. The whole Pentomino set fits together into a nice big rectangle, all snug together. What we can do is add some color to our pieces, so let's just pull that apart. And let's color it in. And there's our 12 Pentomino pieces. Well, thanks for joining me, and I hope you learned something new and had fun doing the lessons. Join me next time on another episode of Lessons from the Classroom.